Hello. Oh, sorry, it's a little bit loud. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming to this presentation on Brazil. It will be an overview in the market. I think, well, I'll be very happy to answer any question you have any time. And Joe, please feel free to interrupt me if you're interested in any more information. And I'll be available later on for individual meetings if you'd like, and you feel like. So this will be a quick presentation on the gift-ware market. Well, you already know about our market, but for who doesn't know, most of the markets concentrated in São Paulo, the big red thing over here. And we have 200 million people in the country. 40 million of them are in the state of São Paulo. The state of São Paulo has the biggest GDP in Brazil and also the biggest consumer hub in the country. So most retailers, most importers, the trends, they're all set in São Paulo for the segments. So to give an idea of the market we have, the economy in São Paulo is bigger than Argentina's and Chile's. So any UK company that wants to export to Brazil will eventually work with São Paulo. Most likely we start in São Paulo. And we probably prefer to work in São Paulo than work, say, in Argentina because of the size of the market. And we have a huge number of millionaires. Brazil is quite an unique country in which most of the population will get an average salary of around 500 pounds. And then we have a small percentage of the country, of the country's population that has most of the wealth. So this makes it for a very good luxury market, albeit reduced one. This is one of the reasons of what we say, why Brazil. We had an increase in population since the 1960s. The population now came from 60 million to 200 million. And besides the increase in population, had a huge increase in middle class in the last few years. Nowadays, we have 100 million people as middle class citizens, most of them getting 500 pounds, 600 pounds, but also around 8 million people with more than 4,000 pounds salary each month. This makes it for a huge consumer base for UK products in Brazil. I will show you a little bit of the segmentation of the market. This is called 25 de Março. This is in downtown São Paulo, is where you're going to find most different products you could ever see in Brazil. If you ever thought about a product in Brazil, it will be here, like the cheaper version of it. So there's also lots of copied products here, illegal commerce, but also several importers of tapestry, fabrics, and all sorts of giftware products. People who come here, they don't come on the retail part, they don't come for quality, they come for prices. So you find products with 50 pence, 60 pence, £1 pricing. This is for custom jewelry, for tapestry, for fabrics, and all kinds of accessories you can think about it. So it's a very nice place if you ever go to Brazil to see, just to have an idea of how things can be in Brazil. This is a little bit of the inside of popular stores in Brazil. This is what we call 1.99. It's the value of most products. Most products would cost around 50 pence, sorry. And they are not very good quality. Most of them would be cheap imports from China or Brazilian local production that's quite cheap. And they are not very pretty inside, but they are very useful because you know what you get. You get inside it, you know you won't get the top quality, the top design, but you get a very good price. So this would be like the lowest it can get in Brazil in terms of pricing and structure. And then we have what we call the mid-market, the aspirational market in Brazil. You can see it here. I decided to put this image because this is a Brazilian jewelry called Vera. This jewelry, they were well known for being like high middle class or more middle class, and now they're trying to be more of a premium luxury brand in Brazil. For that, they are trying to put a better image, and Giselle is associated in Brazil with luxury products, fashion trends, international appeal, so they decided to put her as their goal. And now we have the mid-market stores in Brazil. This is a stationery store. You can see several products with the UK brand, with the UK flag, and along the lines of keep calm and carry on. This has been very fashionable in Brazil in the last 2 years. And there are several products being commercialized with this appeal. Usually in more like high middle class stores. It's not something you'd find in any place in São Paulo. You would go to a shopping center in a good neighborhood, and then you would see this stationery. It's not something you'd find in the street in any part of Brazil. And this is definitely something you find in São Paulo, but not in the countryside, not in a faraway part of the region. This is what we call the Brazilian retail chain for fun design. Most of these products are made in Brazil or imported from China, but with a Brazilian design. They have their design team, and they also buy from other suppliers. They sometimes import from the UK or other regions. But this store, Imaginarium, they are very price-oriented. Even though the products aren't cheap, for instance, any product would cost at least 20 pounds, 15 pounds, which for Brazil, considering the exchange rate, wouldn't be cheap. They still are very price-oriented when buying from suppliers, because they really are investing high volume sales and not such a high margin of profit. And this is like a mid-market houseware product store. It's called Kamikado. Most of the products we have here are Brazilian manufactured or imports from Asia as well. So they have a little bit more sophisticated brand in the way they show the products, in the way they aspire to be something of a better quality, more design-orientated, but you still don't find such different products, such a high-quality products as you might find when you go up the market. And this is an example of what we have in the luxury part. This is a jeweler called H. Stern. They use Kate Moss now as their ad girl. They are using always international stars like Diane Kruger and Kate Hudson, and they are always trying to promote this idea of luxury, and not only luxury in the forms of jewelry, of the stones they use, the gems, the precious gems they use, but they also try to bring a lot of design to their pieces. So geometrical designs, Art Deco. They invest a lot in Brazilian gems that are not easy to find in any other place. So they focus a lot on the individuality of the Brazilian identity when it comes to jewelry making, something that we are actually very good and very proud of. This is a few examples of what you would find when going to a high-end store in Brazil. Brazilian customers, we are very much about pretty things. We are maybe not so much on the practicality side of things, but we like things that are nice, colored, with a nice design. So when you go to a store and you have a little bit more of money, we want to feel like it's a beautiful place. It's a place where I could spend hours, maybe get a coffee, and just feel like walking around and seeing because it's so beautiful. This, for instance, is a bookstore in Brazil called Livraria Cultura. They sell, of course, besides the books they have a very good stationery part, high-end. You could buy a notebook for 20 pounds there. It's that expensive. They work with imported stationery, and they work with good greeting cards, something that's very, very difficult to find in Brazil. And they work with art products as well in a smaller range. These are examples of homeware luxury in Brazil. They usually do it as showrooms. All the stores will be put as showrooms so that you can see the products in use, you can see the flowers, how they would recommend the products to be showed. This way you are able to see actually not only the product, but feel the luxury, feel how good it is. And this is a high-end fashion and accessory stores. The image didn't get so good, but in Brazil, you always invest in something that's very clean, very nice, so that you can see the products, see how beautiful they can get, see their colors. These are some examples of the products that are available, the imported products that people would look at. When they go for imported products, they aren't looking for something that you could find, like plain stuff. If you want plain, we can have plain. Brazilian manufactured, we can have plain Chinese manufactured. When you look to imported stuff, we are looking for good things. An imported product in Brazil, when it's not made in China, is always considered or is always thought to be better than a Brazilian counterpart. And if they don't find it to be better, they don't buy it. That's why you find this stuff, silver trays, fine china, the stationery that we don't have in Brazil, the notebooks we don't have in Brazil, this type of products that are much higher quality than you would find in Brazil. And, of course, the London flag, that became quite fashionable. So since we don't have anyone, we didn't have at least until now, producing this, we started buying it. And this, for instance, which would be extremely cheap here in the UK, could get a very high price in Brazil for our standards, would be maybe £30. So you would have a small customer base, but they would buy it because it's not something they would see every day. And, well, I received several questions about jewelers in Brazil, in the UK, designers and people who work on high street stores. So I thought it would be good to give you guys an idea of how we work with jewelry. All of this is design-made in Brazil and manufactured in Brazil. So this is one of the most challenging markets in Brazil to enter, custom jewelry and jewelry, because we have a huge investment in design. This is all custom jewelry, and this is real jewelry from H. Stern. So we have from huge retail chains on that, huge craftsmen, to small artisanal work that's very high quality in both jewelry and non-jewelry. And the Brazilian style is like that. It's always something colorful, very design-orientated. It's not plain. If you want to go plain, we go to the mid-market. In the mid-market, it's very, very cheap in jewelry in Brazil. And these are, for you guys, just an idea of the price we find, the price the products from UK get when they are in Brazil. These were all taken from an online retailer in Brazil. Parts of it is imported directly by her, part of it is imported through a distributor, but the prices, they get very high. For instance, this could cost more than £50 in the UK, in Brazil. This one would be £37 in Brazil, only this. It's paper, it's very pretty, it's very nice, people buy it, because we don't have that in Brazil, but it's very expensive. It's not something that everyone buys, definitely. So just for you to have an idea of how much it costs, this very nice cutlery kit would cost £60, at least, £65 to the consumer, so not for everyone. This very nice notebook costs £20. This very nice cushion, velvet cushion, costs more than £100, £120 in the retail. So, and these are, some of these products were imported directly, so they weren't that expensive. But then we have the real issue with Brazil, with taxation. The import duty in Brazil can vary from 0 for what we consider to be essential products, products that the Brazilian industry needs, to 35%. What's 35%? Clothing. We have a huge clothing textile industry, so this is highly protected, 35% of taxes for clothing. Toys, 35%, because we have a huge toy industry. I don't know if any of you here work in the toy industry, but to give you an idea, Fisher-Price is a popular brand, popular prices. When it gets to Brazil, it gets expensive. It's 10 times the price you would pay in the US, 7 times the price you would pay for Fisher-Price here in the UK. So it's very, very expensive for a Brazilian consumer. And the taxes, they're always calculated in the price, FOB, plus plus international shipping and freight. So it is expensive to get into. These are some of the taxes we have in country. This is just for you to have an idea of what we have. We have the equivalent to VAT and the percentage that are applied, like industrialized product taxes, the commercialization taxes, but we also have other ones, like the income tax that isn't so high. It can start very low, it can get very high, depending on the company, on your statute. You have the INSS, which has the social contribution, social insurance, and you also have piece, which is something that goes ideally as a fund to the Brazilian workers. So when you sum up all of this, you got to 50% tax at least, if you get a low import duty. This is a simulation of how much a product would cost to arrive in Brazil and how much it would cost when it was to leave customs. This is not considering what you will have to pay later on storage. This is considering in the port how much it would cost for someone to import it. These are costs that you, as an exporter, wouldn't feel so much, because this is not something you have to worry about, but this is something you feel when you discuss prices with a potential importer, because the potential importer will consider all of this when calculating if it's worth to import a product, and they will come back to you and say, this is okay, but I need a discount, or let's work out quantities, or sorry, I love your product, but it won't be able for me, it will be too expensive, and then I will have it for me, and that's it, nobody will buy it. So unfortunately, this is one of the main problems we have. It's our bureaucracy, our taxation, and our awful infrastructure, being quite honest. These are some of the brands that managed to get into Brazil despite all these challenges. What you're gonna see in all of this, these are only some, there are many others in Brazil, but all of them have something in common. They're not what you'd find anywhere. They are different, they're design-led, they're colorful, they're funny. If you want something plain, as I said before, we'll always go for the cheapest one. But if you want something that's creative, that's design-led, that's different, we'll go for UK brands, French brands, Italian brands. And then your competition is with European countries and the US. The US is a huge Brazilian partner in the commercial side, and they're everywhere. They are always in Brazil. They participate on trade shows, the US companies. They invest a lot in marketing, not only for the country, but all the companies invest a lot in marketing. And this is something that a UK company has to keep in mind. If you go to Brazil, you have to adjust your expectations, and you have to think about how you're going to market your product. Be it marketing on the point of sales, be it with advertisement, but you have to market somehow, otherwise you won't sell. These are some of the trade shows on the gift side. You'll notice that all of them will happen now in March. We have the World Cup that changed a little bit our trade show calendar, so they are all happening in March. Of these, the most important by far is Gift Fair. Gift Fair is good because you're going to find all the retailers, you're going to find all the importers, and at the same time, you're going to find everyone who will be competing with you or are competing with you already in the market. We have Chinese manufacturers, we have Brazilian manufacturers, and you have UK brands that are already there with their importers. So it's a great feel. If you decide to go to Brazil and have a feeling for the market, I would say go to São Paulo, go to Gift Fair to have a walk and see everything, and then go to a retail tour and see what Brazil is about and how you could fit in the market. These are our recommendations to UK companies. And you can think, this is generic, this doesn't apply to me. And I'll tell you, it might not apply to you, but most likely it will, because Brazilians, we do business with people. So I can tell you from my experience, I've been with UKTI for more than 3 years now. I've seen only one company be able to close a business, to close a deal, without personally knowing the importer. They always have to go to Brazil. They always have to shake hands, have lunch, visit Brazil maybe once, twice, thrice before doing any business in the country, because you have to establish a relationship. The importer you have will most likely be an exclusive importer. It will be your guy in Brazil, and this guy, you need to trust him, and he needs to trust you. So it takes time. Usually, even if a brand goes well in Brazil, it takes 1 year to do business. Most likely it will take 1.5 years, 2 years. And we've seen this happening not only in the giftware sector, but in all other sectors, 1 year to 2 years. So it's a mid-term. So why would you go to Brazil if it's so difficult, it's so expensive, such a headache? Because we are 200 million people. We have 100 million people middle class. Our expectation that this will get better only, People are having higher incomes every year. People are becoming more demanding every year. So you do have a lot to think about in Brazil, but you also have a lot to think about what you are offering to Brazil and what you want to get out of Brazil. Do you want a high margin of sales? Do you want to have volume? What do you want from Brazil? And then you can think what you can get from Brazil. And we, as UKTI office, we are there to help. We might not always give you the feedback we would like to give you or you'd like to receive, but we'll give you a real honest feedback and a real portrait of the country. Some companies, they come to us and they feel that it's not such a huge market for them, but that they could change a few things and get inside the country. And they do it and they are successful about it and everyone is very proud of it. Some companies, they just realize it's not a market for them, they would rather go to European Union, and that's fine too. But we are there to give you through trade shows, trade missions, or market reports, a view of the country. So I would invite you all, if you feel like, to talk to me or any trade advisor to discuss whether you want to go to Brazil. This is what we try to do. We are always publishing business opportunities. I can tell you from the beginning that most business opportunities will be in my sectors, from food and drink, 1 or 2 from the giftware, but it's something that's worth to pay attention, because when you post a business opportunity, it's something that's really good to start getting a lead on the market. And we have this structure. Most of the commercial side is here in São Paulo, but we have regional offices that could help you. Sometimes São Paulo is too competitive, and there are many options over there, and someone feels that in Northeast it would get better, because in Northeast you don't have that many brands. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because at the same time that we don't have competitors here, you also don't have the structure to import there, or the retailers, or the consumer base. So it changes a lot, and well, if I would be happy to help you if you have any questions. And these are my contact details. I'm sorry I don't have any more cards, but if you could write down and send me an email, or I'll be there in the UKTI stand happy to help you. So I think for now that's it. Thank you.